smoking.
Oh, man. Here's the point. A man who lives like these things I just gave you, like Christ lived, a Christian, let's put down a Christian who lives and knows God, he will walk even as Jesus walked upon the earth. He will believe and trust God. He'll worship God. He'll pray to God. He does all the other things that Christ did. In other words, he walks in the footsteps of Christ, doing exactly what Christ would do. This is the person who knows God. 2 Corinthians 5:7 says, "For we walk by faith and not by" what? Sight. Galatians 5:16, "This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh." Ephesians 4:1, Paul said, "I therefore," Ephesians 4:1, "I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that you walk worthy of the vocation wherewith you are called." Walk worthy. Amen? Of course, John 13:15 is a killer. That's a two-edged sword that goes right in us. And John 13:15 says, "For I give you an example that you should do as I have done." Oh. First Peter chapter 2, verse 21 says, "For even hereunto were you called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that you should follow his steps." I'm telling you, when a person tells me, when I hear sermons or I hear Christians say, "Well, the Christian walk," oh, it's easy. No, it's not. The Christian walk is hard.
People that tell you it's easy, you start to wonder about them.
Yeah, I tell you, you wonder sometimes. So if we really know God, the first test is what? Obedience. John says, if you really know God, you're going to be obedient to Christ. And then test number 2, you'll see in verses 7 through 11, test number 2 is if we really know God, then we're going to love our neighbor. I flunked that to snowstorm. I hate you put a sunny thing together and then all of a sudden it hits you between the eyes. You know what I mean? In verses 7 through 11, I just want to give an introduction, then we'll quit. We got 10 minutes still, but then we'll quit early. When you look at verses 7 through 11, how do we know if we really know God? Well, this passage covers the second test, and it deals with love. Do we love our neighbors? That's what John's going to discuss here. Do you really love your neighbor? If, this is hard, if we criticize, grumble, gripe, backbite, ignore or neglect, maybe curse them, abuse them, slander them, hate them, or mistreat them in any way, then John is saying, you don't know God. Oh,
That's my whole Monday.
That's Monday through Friday, right? You see, no matter what we may claim to, or how loudly we claim it, we do not know God if we don't love our neighbor. Because God is love, and therefore, any person who truly knows God is bound by love. Loving others is a strong test of our knowledge of God. Right? Jesus loved all of mankind, no matter what they did to him. Those famous words on the cross, right? Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Man, that's love. So, next week we're going to look at the test. The supreme commandment is love, verses 7 and 8. The professing man, in other words, professes God, but hates his brother, verse 9, something wrong. He says he knows God, but he hates his brother, verse 9. That doesn't cut it with God. You see, the obedient man, according to verse 10, we'll get into it next week, loves his brother, loves his neighbor. He's obedient to that. Verse 11, you see the bitterness and the hating man in verse 11. That man is in darkness and walks in darkness and has no direction. That man is blind, does not know God. And so we're going to get into that next week.
For those who don't know God, and you know God, just as, and this is why I always kind of struggle with this, because you see how Jesus, how they were always plotting against him.
Yeah.
And how he was able to go through the crowd. It wasn't his time, they couldn't touch him.
Right.
And for us, we're always being accused, at least when you see you're being accused of something you didn't do. I think that happens a lot.
It does. It does. It does.
That we're falsely accused quite a bit. And the approach that we have to use in order to stand up to those accusations, you have to be really careful.
Yeah, be careful, and you can still have the love of God in you and be able to take care of a situation like that. Yeah. And it can be done. Yep. I think it all depends on what comes out. I think it's an attitude. If somebody's wronged me, but if I come up to them in love and say, you know what you said is not true. Please, I love you. I want to, and I have no ill feelings towards you. But say, I don't understand why you criticize me like that. If you come up with that approach, you're going to be all right. They're going to see the love of Christ. But if you come up to them with a two-edged sword and you might as well forget about it. It's not going to work.
Humble yourself and you.
And that's the key, humility. Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
I worked with a gentleman, really a very nice, calm, mild-mannered gentleman. And one day he really got into a situation where a guy was in his face and accusing him of all kinds of stuff. And very calmly, he just looked at the fellow and he said, Bob, he says, for such a big man, it amazes me how small your brain is. Walked away.
Ouch!
No cursing or hollering. He just in a shop, that's hard to do.
You're not kidding.
And that guy just walked away.
Wow.